Hey, what happened to the other backdrop we had, like the wooden wall background?
It's a cottage. Every wall is a wooden wall.
Yeah, obviously, but it's not the same wood. People are gonna notice.
It doesn't matter. It's just an audio podcast.
Yeah, but if it's audio only, like, why is there a camera right there? Like, what are we doing? Huh?
Okay, and action.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm happy to be here. We have a great show today. I met up with local comedian and podcaster herself, Michaela Chung. We talked about life, dating during a pandemic, and the repercussions of killing your own pet as a child and the negative impact it might have on your attachment issues as an adult. It's a good one. Let's go. And we are live. Welcome back to another episode of Happy Hour with Sad Comedians. I'm joined today by Michaela Chung at the Tavern on the Hill. Beautiful night. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Pretty good, you know. It's a beautiful view. The viewers can't see this right now, but it's pretty happening here.
It is.
I know I'm too old to be here when I'm saying things like, it's happening. Hey, this place is happening. It's very hip. You know? No. No, this is a great place. We were here for a joke jam last week, was it?
Yes, that's right. Our weekly joke writing group. We were here for our first in-person jam.
We've been doing this through COVID on Zoom.
Yeah, I feel it's really enriched my isolation.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like kept me sane.
I mean, I think we all sort of borderline. We were at the precipice, like just before getting completely insane, I think.
Still, I think.
Still, we're not out of the woods yet. We're just in phase 3. Who knows? There's still a few days.
I thought we were out of the woods, and then I was like, no, we're not, because I'm crying in the morning.
You know what? That's one thing, actually. Let's jump right fucking into it. I don't care. I haven't cried since probably December, and the beginning of COVID, I had a moment where I was like, man, I need a good cry. Like, I need to have a good cry, you know? And the time before that was probably like 2 years prior when I watched the movie Lion. I think I told a joke about that.
That's sad.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll actually go back to the end of that movie just to make myself cry. And now I'm desensitized to it because I've watched so many times.
So like that's the only thing that can make you cry?
Yeah.
You're like, I can't cry that everything's shut down and the world is crumbling.
No, I couldn't cry about it. And I was like, oh shit, I feel like, I should be crying about this, but it was so numb. The whole thing.
You need a little starter to get you going.
I just need a kickstart, yeah.
So
I don't know what it is.
And you did that during the middle of COVID?
I still haven't cried since COVID.
Oh, you got a lot of buildup.
I have all this like bottled up like emotion and everything, just wants to, yeah.
You're gonna there's something about Mary all over us. Like you're just gonna start crying all over somebody.
I know.
You gotta...
Hopefully during a podcast and I can catch it on my big meltdown on
I could
tape.
do it. I could make you cry.
Yeah? Let's try.
Like usually it happens not on purpose.
You just make people cry. You have a talent for making men cry?
Sometimes I ask questions that are like trigger points. I'm like, this is interesting. This is getting interesting. I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
Shout out to the OT. OT gang.
Okay, wait. Forgot about COVID. Oh, shit.
Shout out to all my gang and free up everybody. And then pray for the people in the hospital. And guess what? We're all gonna live forever. No. Got it.
I do not want to be affiliated with the gang that he just mentioned that he shout out to, but anyways, I'm gonna edit this out.
That's funny because on one of my video chats, I do video chats with my matches from Bumble because to screen out people.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking about gangs in high school.
Okay.
And how his high school had real gangs. And
real gangs.
Yeah, my high
like
school
a Glee
had.
Club?
Yeah, it was probably in Ottawa. Yeah, it was probably closer to the Glee Club. But my high school had my friends actually. They had this thing called the Banana Crew, and they would wear yellow bandanas on their arm or their head, and they would just play pranks. They were just goofing around. But then the principal was like, you can't wear bandanas. They disassembled the Banana Crew.
Sounds like the plot to an 80s movie. The banana crew strikes again. They're leaving banana peels in the stairs,
Yeah.
and the janitor fell down.
It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Were you part of it? Did you have to
No.
get initiated in?
No women.
Oh,
Sexist.
shit. Sexist banana crew. Man. Wait. This is going to sound racist, but were they Asian?
It was mixed race. It was multicultural.
Because you know the term banana? That's derogatory,
Yes.
like yellow on the outside, white on the inside.
Yeah, but Asian people can use that term for ourselves, I guess.
Oh, but I can't.
You cannot, I don't think.
My kids are mixed.
Right? No, that doesn't.
Doesn't
count.
work.
No.
Damn it. All right.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know what we're talking about.
Talking about crying, making people cry, having meltdowns.
You don't have to right now. We can. You can try to make me cry throughout if you want. But I was just gonna say, how have you been keeping mentally fit through all of this? Talking about keeping sane. Like I know you do like mindful meditation, and you have some morning routines. Any things that you've been
I
helping you?
aspire to meditate. Like I'll meditate for 3 days in a row. I'll be like, this is amazing. It's changing my life. And then I'll stop completely.
Right. That's the hardest part is like
Yeah.
keeping up with it. And
I do a lot of things. And when I'm on my routines, I do them so religiously, especially during COVID.
yeah.
I've been like, this is the only thing. Like, this is the most important thing in my life right now. Like, I have to do it. And then when I wouldn't for a few days, then actually my life would unravel. So, yeah, because the things that I do, like, I'll do yoga most mornings.
Yeah, me too.
And then, no, you do too.
Meditation and yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I'm
works.
on day 48 straight meditation now.
Whoa.
Yeah. But some days I've found recently where it's just I'm so restless that, I do 20 minutes, and because I'm doing like more advanced meditation now, there are fewer prompts.
Yeah.
And I just do Headspace. I bought the Headspace thing, and I was like, okay, I bought it, so now I'm gonna do it the full year, 365 days, so I'm doing like 48, and because there are fewer prompts, there's more silence, and then silence, my mind just goes blah, 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 blah. And so even sometimes I'll meditate for 20 minutes, but it's just my mind just going what's for?
And then it's like, well, were you really meditating
That's
before?
the thing, right? Well, sometimes I felt better when there were more prompts that like guided you a little more and
Yeah.
that brought you back to the present.
I think that's why I like yoga.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you actually focus on being present, it is meditative. Lately, I haven't been, but yeah. So I do yoga.
But even if you're not, you're
and,
still stretching.
It's still good, like you to be in your body first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I have like kind of a visioning journaling thing, like writing down my goals and my affirmations, and that's more to like reach my goals faster. But it's just anchors you. So
Is it to get the creative juices flowing for the rest of the day? Is that the idea?
No.
No?
It's not for creativity at all. It's for
Okay.
like law of attraction. You
Okay,
know?
wow.
Like envision your future and it'll happen faster.
Ah.
And it does.
Interesting,
It
yeah.
works. It works. Yeah.
So what's like you do a one page, or is it you just free write your goals and?
No, like they're the same. They're usually the same goals, like the same 3 goals, and I just rewrite them every day. So it's kind of
so
like
just like reaffirming and like
So they're
put in pen to paper. Just,
always on your mind.
Yeah, so you're conscious about it.
Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes I'm like, I just don't want to do this. That's why weekends are important, to just stop do something different,
Yeah.
because of course I get sick of doing that every morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, for me, I know that when I was working in the office pre-COVID and everything, I was like, oh, I hated the routine of it, just like the whole thing. And then COVID happened, and then I craved the routine. I was like, oh no, I need structure in my life. I need like to do all these things and create my own routine.
Yes.
But I hated the idea of having somebody else dictate what I had to do, when I could do certain things and all that. And but yeah, having a morning routine and having like just things scheduled for me has been, definitely keeps me sane.
It does, yeah, because I work for myself, and I've worked for myself for 7 years, which is a long time
Yeah.
to be like in
Be
a
mouse.
in an apartment by yourself, like type monkey type. And I realize more and more that actually it is really difficult, and it was really validating during COVID. People being like, oh my gosh, it's so hard working from home. I'm like, yes, finally, people get
Right?
it.
People, yeah.
But now it's also hard not to work for myself because I haven't for so long. But there's this, I always think of this study, I forget who the study was by, but they put these rats in a really alone in a cage. So they put one rat alone in a cage, and the cage was had no toys or anything. It was just really sad. And then
That made me cry. That's how you're going to get me to cry about a sad rat in a cage.
it gets sadder.
Okay.
Because they would give this sad rat a choice of they would have a water bottle with regular water or heroin laced water.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the sad one was
The sad
going
one
for
would
fucking
take the
heroin.
heroin laced
Yeah.
water, but then they had rat park for these other rats, and they would all be together in this amazing rat paradise with toys, and they have each other.
Yeah.
And they would not take the heroin laced water, and I'm
Yeah.
I feel like the sad rat.
I think, yeah, this has definitely uncovered a lot of people's drinking habits and functional alcoholism.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, actually, that's a really interesting study because I think that is basically what high school is trying to do, is trying to get teenagers not to do drugs. So they try to get people all involved in all these sports and different clubs and trying to keep them busy so they're not doing drugs that formative years in their lives.
This is a new thing?
No, but it's that's probably what the rat theory inspired. So there's another one where the rats are given little pebbles of food, whether they press a little lever, and if they're getting a pebble of food every time they press a lever, they're just gonna touch it whatever they want to eat, And then there's one where it's only after a certain time, and then the one where it's random, the rats get addicted to do it because they never know when it's going to come out, right?
Intermittent reinforcement.
Yeah, it's just intermittent reinforcement. That's Psychology 101, and that's what they based slot machines and casinos on. So
And that's what players use to play the game on women.
just intermittent reinforcement.
Totally texts you sometimes, then not, ghosts you.
So you never know when you're
come
going to...
and go.
Yeah.
That they do. They do. Some do it
Oh.
intentionally, some don't, but...
Some
and
are
that's
just
why women
aloof.
get... Pro tip, ladies, that's why women get hooked on emotionally unavailable men. Because they are intermittent reinforcers.
And by ladies, you probably mean my mom, who's the only lady who's going to be watching this podcast, probably. But
Well, I'm going to share it so
all right.
so some of my ladies will.
Hey, all right. Get some hot tips right here.
Yes.
Any other tips for dating men that are not married and have kids? we had fun with the Tinder
We had fun. Oh my gosh.
Hamilton's. I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever.
so the joke jam last week where we met in person, one of our members, we were helping him with his profile. So we were taking pictures here to show that he goes out and has friends, not
And
just a sad
rewording
comedian.
the summary or whatever description to
Yeah.
be eye-catching and sort of using those important buzzwords or words.
Yeah, hook him.
Hook 'em.
Because
Clickbait.
Exactly. He's a lawyer by trade.
But it wasn't in his Tinder profile. I was like, what are you doing, man?
I'm lawyer, first thing. Mention
First
it
thing.
3 times. Even though he's not working as a lawyer right now, doesn't matter.
He can get into that during the first date. He can, yeah.
Yeah, we need to get his foot in the door.
Yeah. But were you a dating coach at some point? Were you actually, yeah.
I do some dating coaching, not at the moment,
Okay.
mostly men. And I do more, because I actually work with introverts and I help them with a lot of things. I do dating coaching and it's more like transformation, working with deeper patterns and all the way to the outside stuff, communication and all that and confidence. So, but then now it feels like a conflict of interest because I get on my podcast, Michaela Up Close,
Hey.
every week and I talk about how sad my dating life is. So there goes all my clients. Male clients, I can still get male clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find more male clients that you're helping out for. You're okay. So I think we talked about this before, but you're like the Will Smith in Hitched.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Have you seen Hitched yet?
You know what? I started watching it.
Did you?
Yeah, this week.
Okay. So,
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I just wasn't in the mood. I was in the mood for like serial killer docuseries. I only watch those kind of shows when I'm stressed, when I'm emotionally stressed. So that gives you a window into how
You
my
watch
week was.
serial killer stuff when you're stressed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Only when I like exclusively because I don't like how it makes me feel stressed if I'm not already stressed. But if I'm emotionally like upset,
You're
then I
ready
watch
for it?
it so that it distracts me from it. It's like more intense than what I'm feeling.
Right.
So I'm like, that's what I want. Something that really hooks you in and like makes you feel those intense emotions that aren't the ones you're worried about.
I'm sure there's a rat study about that somewhere.
Yeah. If not, they
Stress.
should do one.
They should
Dress them
do
up
one.
like Ted Bundy, those little rats, like
Yeah.
Ted Bundy.
Cute little Ted Bundy.
I would like that very much. I thought of getting a rat this past week.
This past week. Is that where you're at now?
Very much.
It's like, I need a pet. How about a rat?
Well, and you can't just get one rat because of what I just said. They get lonely. They're
Oh, yeah.
social.
Well, or else you have to buy a lot of heroin. Rat at the pet store. Do you sell rat heroin? Here? Small
Oh my
can
gosh. Then I'd have to give them little sunglasses and a wife beater. And I'm just loving like humanizing these rats. This is-
little
I like
belts
this
around
rat
their
bit we're doing.
arms. Oh god, so sad.
But the rat, no, okay, so you can't just get one. So if I get one, I got to get two. And if I get two, I might as well
Might as
get
well
five.
get a whole family. Yeah, might as well get a rat farm.
No. Okay, you want to get deep into the psyche of Michaela Chung?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I had a rat growing up, a pet rat. His name was Mickey. Rest in peace, Mickey.
Mickey?
Mickey, yeah. Which is what my friends used to call me.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's almost like Michaela. Mickey. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Did it represent
yeah, he was like my
an
twin.
extension of you? And,
Anyways, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't have many friends.
Maybe because the pet rat.
Could be. But so he was like my buddy. We had good times. He was alive for 4 years. He lived for
That's
4
a
years.
long
That's
time.
a long time. So imagine it was kind of like the love I had for him was the love that people would have for their dog.
Yeah.
Really, I
Oh,
think
for
of
sure.
him as
Yeah, you
like,
can get attached to. Yeah.
totally. And
I've told you my story about my butterfly. I had my first pet was a butterfly that died that represented my grandfather. He died and everything. I cried a lot. I was 6 years old. But anyways, go on. We'll
Maybe
get.
you should keep talking about the butterflies so you can cry.
I know. We'll get to it later. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes I still dream. I still dream about
Of
this
Mickey?
rat. I do, and the reason is because when he died, I wasn't feeding him enough. Like I was a child, and then I'd become like an adolescent, and I became like more focused on my friends. And so I didn't purposely starve him, but I kind of neglected him in the end. So I always have these dreams that I have a pet rat, or there's just two rats, and I forget to feed them. And I'm always trying to rush to feed them and like spoon feeding them. And I'm like, sometimes I do feed them on time, and sometimes I don't. And they always stick with me. And I'm like, oh, I think it represents love. It happens when I'm dating, like when I start dating again. And
And you don't feed the soul of your partner.
like I
and,
kill love. I think that's what it
Yeah. Hey, it's like fire. If you don't keep putting wood in the fire, it's love can burn out in a relationship. It's true.
Yeah, if you stop feeding,
Yeah.
like if you lock your boyfriend in a closet and stop feeding him.
They could die, like biologically.
possible.
Yeah, not just metaphorically. So you killed your rat. I mean, maybe you should have gotten a Tamagotchi. Have you heard of those?
I should have.
Because you could kill those, but they're not a sentient being, at least.
If you're interested in killing, this is how you do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I should just
That's for psychopaths, kids. Tamagotchi. That was the invention. It's like, okay, we're killing too many animals to negligence here.
yeah.
But-
That's why. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, okay, so I have to tell you my story now. I had a rabbit. So I've had a lot of pets when I was younger. I had turtles, I had lizards, I had birds, at some point a cat. And at some point so we're three. So I'm the middle, I have an older brother, a younger sister, and we each had a rabbit. And my rabbit was, it was gris and Tigris, or Tipit, I think his name was, Tipit.
Well, he was French.
He was French. He was French rabbit, We fed him what do they eat?
Pellets?
No, I was trying to think about the French eat, but frog legs.
Oh, the French. Yeah. That would be like weird if
I know,
you
right?
fed your rabbit frog legs.
But he's a French.
It's okay. He's a French.
He's a Français, yes.
He fucks all the other rabbits because he's French.
Yeah, rabbit. That's the translation of rabbit, yes. So my lapin is, he's getting bitten by mosquitoes and bugs. So he could tell because his ears are getting like holes in, because he's outside in the cage, whatever.
Oh, okay.
And only his ears are getting bitten by mosquitoes. So I'm about 9, 10 maybe. And I think to myself, well, when we get mosquito bites, like to not get mosquito bites, we put on off spray, right? But I had this really, really strong, because we lived in the woods, we lived like in the boonies. We had this really strong DEET mosquito repellent, and I sprayed it all over my rabbit. And over the course of about a month, he's eventually paralyzed.
Oh my god.
To the point.
This is way worse than my rat
Oh
story.
yeah, no, it gets way worse. By the end, he was just like, shitting himself, like completely paralyzed, couldn't even do anything, and eventually he just died. And the worst part about this story is I was like 9 or 10, and I was the one that had killed my own rabbit. Slow, painful death.
You poisoned him.
And I never told my parents. I never told anybody about it. They were just like, "What's wrong with Spit?" And I was like, "I don't know."
So how long did it take you to clue in? Like, he's paralyzed.
Oh, I knew it was me. At the time, while I was watching my own rabbit die, I knew I was the one that had killed him with this. I pieced it all together. I was like, "Oh shit!" I gave him like this toxic stuff that probably like fucked up his neurons. I didn't know about neurons at 9, but I knew that this was like.
But were you
poison.
giving it to him repeatedly or just the one time?
No, I just gave it, but I put it all over him, probably right in his face, and it just went directly to probably his neurons, and like something like disintegrated his
gosh.
muscle tissue, whatever
We
it
should
was.
not be putting that stuff on our bodies.
No, that's they should be testing on rabbits.
You've done the test.
I
You
know.
Oh my gosh.
And I never told my parents up until like when I was like maybe 25 or something. So I held that guilt with me.
Do you ever
for all
dream
my
about
life.
him?
No, I don't think so. I probably
No
have,
guilt. You're
if
a
you don't
psychopath.
if you don't dream about it, yeah, you're a psychopath.
No.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
probably dream
interesting.
about other things that might represent him, but I'm not sure if I dreamt about him.
But you feel more for the butterfly.
Yeah, well, that's another story. That's another, yeah.
What did you do to that butterfly?
Oh, that butterfly was fine. It's just because it represented my grandfather. So, do I have to tell this?
It's your podcast.
Fuck it, I guess so. All right. So, I found a caterpillar. Okay. Beautiful caterpillar, like this big green caterpillar. And my mom says, "Oh, let's go to Pepper," so her father's place. You're just trying to get me cry now.
No, I want to hear the story of the butterfly.
Okay.
Butterflies have deep meaning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is this gets bad too. So I bring this caterpillar to my grandfather's place, and we look up in his encyclopedia. He knows all about these insects, about all these things, and he's like, "Oh, this is going to become this grand parent des nuits, beautiful butterfly. If you take care of him, you put in a vase with some branches and some leaves, makes a cocoon. In the meantime, my grandfather passes away, while my caterpillar is becoming a cocoon and becoming a butterfly, right? So this is the tricky part. So I'm 6. I don't really know what's going on. My mother's crying. We go to the funeral. I don't remember the funeral, but I remember it being a lot of sadness, a lot of crying, and all that. And then a few days later, from this cocoon emerges this beautiful butterfly, and it becomes my pet, and I have it inside the house. And because I'm so attached to it, my mom says, well, butterflies are meant to live outside. You can't keep it inside forever. And finally, I go to go outside, and I chase it, and I go, and I couldn't even do it. So I go and I grab him from a tree. I was like racing. It's flying away, and I grab him back, and I bring him back inside. And I killed him because I kept him inside.
You kept him like in the house, or did you keep him in some sort of aquarium or jar or something?
Probably some sort of jar, some sort of I was 6, I had some holes in a jar or some. It was like a big enough aquarium. But so what happened next is that my mother said, well, you know, I know you're really sad about this, so let's have a funeral for your butterfly. And so we put the butterfly into a little milk carton, and we had a funeral. We said some prayers. We actually said a whole ceremony about it, and we put it underneath the deck in my parents' place. And I was there crying, and my mother's crying beside me because to her, this represents her father that had just passed away, because it was one of the last things that her father did for me as her grandson. And so yeah, this butterfly was my first pet and my first understanding of death. Yeah.
And this is why you have intimacy issues. I mean,
Exactly.
no, I don't know if you do.
Well, there was a punchline at the end from the story. It's like that's when it, and because I was telling the story to someone, and then at the end of this long story is like, and that's why I can't sign up for this Canadian Tire MasterCard because I have commitment issues.
Oh, was
Right?
that? I remember that. We
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
about that during Joke Jam.
Yeah, so that was the punchline, but this whole story about a butterfly just to get. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Now
There you
there's
go.
a nice tight punchline for you. I don't know if that's
Super tight after like 15 minutes of rant.
yes.
Let's get back to you.
Me, my
Yeah.
favorite topic.
Me. Are you self-centered? Bit.
I don't know what other centered I could be. It's just
Just
me.
you?
Just me, baby. Me in an
Yeah.
apartment thinking about rats all day.
Hey. I live with 3 other people. I'm still self-centered and selfish, so I don't know. It could, yeah.
Yeah. Although, no, it's been a while since I've been in a real relationship. So, yeah. A couple years. But I did the whole thing, or I do the whole thing where like, I will reactivate all the apps, Bumble and Tinder, and started using Facebook dating. Which is
Facebook
crazy.
dating. Our sponsors. Thank you.
And that's why this is so low budget.
Yes. Can't monetize shit on Facebook. God damn it.
No. Yeah, and then I did that recently. And yeah, everyone does the thing where they reactivate, and then after a couple
And
weeks they
delete,
delete
blah,
and
yeah.
reactivate.
Cycle.
But I'm feeling like it's emotionally exhausting me now. I think part of it's the online dating process, in that there's so much before you get to the date, that when the date's disappointing, it's like, ugh.
Oh, you invested all this time and energy, and
And to me, texting is energy.
yeah.
And
yeah.
I've given it my all. Like, I used to be, I hate texting, and I would just like give it nothing. But I'm like, you know what? This is what the medium is. So I'm gonna put effort into like making good conversation by text, and like allowing the person to just, go through the steps. You got to go through the steps. Whatever. I'd be interested. It takes me a really long time to text. I'm slow. I'm like a 1 thumb, 2 thumb.
Yeah, me too. I think. Yeah.
No, 1.
One-
And just one,
finger.
just one.
Just 1 finger.
Yeah, and so it takes so long.
Yeah, they should have taught texting in. Well, I guess they didn't make sense in high school, but
Yeah,
in
they
high school,
should've.
freaking typing class, fucking bullshit. Where were the smartphones back then
Yeah.
in the 1990s?
Or
Yeah.
emoji classes.
Yeah,
'cause
so you
let
would
me
know
tell you,
of
I have
eggplant is
done-
not just something for
Oh.
dinner. Well,
I
it could
have
be,
messed
but yeah.
up with the emojis.
Yeah.
I told you about the unicorn one.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, I thought I had unicorn as an emoji on my dating profile for like 2 years, and it was like no hookups, unicorn for life. And then
What does that mean?
the last couple weeks, I've gotten a few messages where people are like, well, you say no hookups, but then unicorn for life. So what are you looking for? And I'm like, well, I'm
Is that
looking
an
for
oxymoron in the?
I'm looking for a playmate. Like, I'm looking for someone to cook with, go for runs. I like didn't register what they meant. And then finally, like the third person said something. I'm like, I gotta look up what the unicorn emoji
Urban
means.
Dictionary that?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, horny, it means horny. And then I was embarrassed and I took
Oh,
it
like
down.
the horn from the unicorn. Okay.
Which would make sense. But no, that's not what it means actually.
You know where the word unicorn comes from?
No.
You know what a eunuch is?
No.
Eunuch is somebody without a penis. They chop off their penis, like a eunuch.
Oh.
And so I think it was like a penis that was attached to the head of a horse. So it's like a eunuch's horn.
Really? No.
I don't know. I just made that up,
Oh,
but I think
if that was, that would be terrible.
it would be, yeah. And
'cause this
medieval
is-
times or different times.
It's meant to
It's
be
like
this
Game of Thrones.
magical symbol for children. That's what it's meant to be.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
how I was using it for, like, not for children, but I was using it as like, oh, magical, whimsical.
My Little Pony.
And what it actually means is, so when couples are looking for a woman to join their sexual relationship, they call it a unicorn because they're so hard to find. It's hard to find a single woman who's willing to join a married couple in the sack. So I was like
Because they don't
advertising
exist.
this. What?
They don't exist.
The unicorn? These
Or those women that
They
join.
do exist. They're just rare. I'm becoming one. No, I'm not. I'm not at that point yet. I'm like, well, maybe. I already used the
Emoji, might as well.
No, I'm not there yet.
Yeah. You'd already put in the universe, but I don't know if the universe knew what it was that you put out there. You know what I mean? If you manifested something, it's like,
Yeah.
would the universe like misinterpret your emoji even though they could look into your psyche? No, I don't think that's the way it works.
No, exactly. It has
Yeah.
to be what you think.
What you actually attribute to that symbol.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be funny though if the universe would be like just listening to whatever you said, even if you didn't mean it, and they were like, okay, I guess that's what you want. Eh.
Well, sometimes, because there's in this book called Eat, Pray, Love, some of the ladies listening would have
Hey,
heard
Mom.
of it.
Yeah. Don't you go on any dating websites, Mom. Still my dad.
There's a guy who, he asks for, Lord, give me an open heart, give me an open heart. And then a few months later, he gets open heart surgery.
Oh, okay.
So I always think of that. I'm like, choose
So you
your
think
words.
God is just dumb that he's just like, well, I thought you meant open heart surgery.
Words are
The
powerful, JF,
Yeah.
okay?
The all omniscient, all powerful God just misunderstood what he meant with heart surgery. Yeah.
He did because he's a man. He's still a man.
Oh.
Oh, snap.
Snap. I think yeah.
So,
I think God is female, but anyways, this.
but what was I going to say about that? Oh, I had something to say about that.
Go dig deep.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. Open heart. About
Oh, no, I was going to
misinterpretation.
say, yes, okay, because let me tell you this. I work with introverts. That's my day job for the
Yeah.
past 7 years. So a lot of the things that I've shared online on my Facebook page and my blogs, I would share stuff that was like, oh, the introvert bubble, or like, oh, introverts, don't want to see people right now. They're like antisocial, but in a funny way,
Okay.
which is not my stance. Like, I'm a social introvert. My stance is like introverts just need more time alone, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
whatever.
to recharge and whatever and all that. Yeah.
Yes, but I shared all this stuff, and then since lockdown happened, I'm like, I am never ever sharing anything that's even close to hinting at like, I want to be alone, like I hate people, social distancing. Like, no, I'm not
Why?
making
What
jokes
happened?
about that anymore. Well, this happened. Like, we were not allowed to be like near anybody for so long. And
Oh,
I'm-
you think you made all this?
No, but I just feel like your words.
You got
I
what you
manifested this.
You manifested.
Basically.
This is all your fault. Careful what you
Basically.
wish for, and then just like it just happened. Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know how it works, but I feel like
Back to
words
my
have power.
Previous question: do you consider yourself self-centered or?
You know what I mean, though. Like, I think
Yeah, I know, I know.
everybody has gone through it. I know I'm not the only one. I know this is ridiculous, but everyone I've talked to has been like, I feel like I'm being punished for something. Like, we were talking about this with other
We're all
comedians.
shitty people. Then that's all what we deserve.
But people are like, oh, I feel like it's because I stopped praying, or like I stopped.
Stop
I
recycling
wished,
or
yeah,
start
stop
putting-
recycling.
yeah.
Or I wished for more time off work, and then they like lost their job. It just makes you think like, oh yeah, be careful what you wish for. Like, I'm never gonna speak anything that I don't mean, and like, because I already believed that before.
Right.
Like, your words matter, and how you represent your thoughts and beliefs matter. And I was like, this
True.
introvert, my page in particular, like the memes I was sharing, I'm like, that's fine if that's how you really feel, but I don't feel that way. Like, I don't want to be alone forever, and I don't want to not have like a huge bubble. And so there you go.
Okay, so this is actually a really interesting topic, which is a good segue for comedy.
Okay.
Because this is sad comedians. No, but on stage, will you ever do jokes just because you think he's gonna get a laugh, but you don't actually believe what you're saying?
Well, I try to start the joke off in truth, and then the punchline can be absurd or whatever. But yeah, like, of course I've dropped
Or-
jokes throughout because I'm like, that's no longer feels like me anymore.
Okay, or has comedy changed your perspective on things, or has it changed you as a person, do you find? Nah, we'll edit this out. No, we won't. Whatever.
I'm a human.
Humans burp. That's what happens.
Comedy has definitely changed me. I think it was a change that I was longing for because, as you get older, I feel or I at least developed a bit more of a shell. And beyond just the introvert shell of just like also being a business owner and being like an expert in my field, of feeling like I had to be like all buttoned up all the time and like I couldn't share certain things. And I felt like it was harder to connect with people. I was missing that because like especially new people, like I have my best friends, but like it was hard for me to like
As you get older, it's harder to make new friends and make new connections, I think.
because and I feel part of it is because you're no longer revealing the real you.
Right.
And I was to my best ability, but like I don't know, comedy really has shattered my ego a lot. So not just the sharing,
yeah.
but like just bombing.
Oh yeah, bombing will just change your life. It's shattered ego.
Shattered, yeah. I've had one experience in particular where it took me weeks. So we've talked about it. I don't know if I want to share now, but like weeks to recover, and it changed me as a person, changed me to my core.
Okay, let's get back to that. But actually, just the reason I was asking is because I'll sometimes make jokes I know that are very cynical, and I know I'm not a cynical person at the core. You know what I mean? Like I'm completely naive. I'm very gullible. But then you hear like comedians say something like, "Oh, those fucking people that are wearing this," or making jokes about people that have certain haircuts, and I might make jokes like that, but in my core, I know I do not give a shit what other people do with their lives or what they're wearing, but it's just like, it's fun to make fun of people, but I'm like, no, that's not me. And it's just like, I become more cynical as a comedian, I think, because of comedy.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, so it has had a negative impact on my psyche and my life and my perspective on
Negative.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, I think so. Some of it has been pretty bad. Yeah.
Like what?
I mean, it's just darker, just going to like a dark place where maybe it was just because I wasn't exploring it before, and maybe there is some good that's going to come out of it. But just being negative and like complaining, because a lot of my favorite comedians are big time ranters and complainers, like Bill Hicks or like Bill Burr, all the Bills, Bill Cosby. Yeah. No, but they're just like going on rants and like just anger, and like that's not me at all, but I'm trying to emulate them, I think, so I become negative because of it, and I become more depressed as a result. Because I put on these lens, like, this gray colored glasses, and I see the world through a negative lens.
I totally get that, and I do think about that with comedy, because I totally believe in the power of words, and especially when I talk about my dating life and when I talk about like aging, being over 30, I am careful because I do feel that it affects your mindset, and then you start feeling a certain way, and it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, so when I invented Gina, so Gina is this character that I made. If you wanted to see it, check my Instagram.
Check it out. It's good.
Cooking with Gina.
Cooking. It's from New Jersey. Sounds like she's been smoking cigarettes since the age of 2.
And Gina is very angry. She's very angry. You fucking idiots. You drive me crazy. So, Gina.
Wait, wasn't that your safe word for if I brought up a topic that you didn't want to talk about?
Well, I actually want to talk about Gina.
Okay, let's talk about Gina then.
Let's talk about Gina.
I don't know.
Gina's close to my heart.
Okay.
But no, I invented Gina like midway through quarantine, and I realized it's because I was super angry. Like everyone went through this where I was like extremely irritable, and I just I had no tangible reason, but I just was feeling very angry. And so I filmed, like I came up with this character, and I did Cooking with Gina where she'd cook and like just have attitude. And then I realized like when I wasn't angry anymore, I didn't want to be Gina anymore.
Hey. Maybe it was you're out. Maybe you can do a character, or maybe I do have all this anger and cynicism inside me, and I just need to get it out of my system on stage, and then I can be this naive, sort of like gullible person again, positive, optimist. Yeah, maybe.
I feel it's important to, the power of character is important because it can help you to snap out of your ingrained persona.
Yeah.
Because when I first started stand-up, the first thing I did, like one of the first jokes I wrote was about my Chinese dad.
Right.
And that was like, because I did a 5-day stand-up comedy intensive in Vegas. And before I even got on stage, and that's where I wrote this joke about my Chinese dad, and I did an impression of him. And
you did the accent like very first joke?
yeah, like I didn't have it perfectly written out, but I got the accent. Yeah, even before I went to the intensive.
And now you're the accent queen of
not quite.
Ottawa. Yeah.
But and it was like, I remember I spent several hours like watching YouTube videos and practicing the accent. And there was something about doing that just freed something in me. Like stepping into that character and just doing the silly accent really freed me. And I think that was an important part of starting my comedy journey because I was so like solid in my persona of like Michaela, the buttoned up introvert coach and author.
Yeah. You need to break out of that mold
break
a bit.
out with my Chinese dad accent.
And I do see when you do an accent, you seem like you have fun with it. Like it's like silly. It looks, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I still feel kind of a little boxed in doing comedy as me. But when I'm in a character, it's like, okay, the character's meant to be silly, so I can, be more free.
And I guess actually I've seen that tip from other people, other comedians, where they play a character, but it allows them to say certain things that they couldn't say themselves. But they're like, well, maybe you were just thinking, but they're making fun of the character that's saying is like, well, wait a minute, are you just the character, but you don't want to admit that you're.
Yeah, like JF's a fucking moron. Like I would never say that in real life.
I don't know, right?
No.
But Gina, she's, she's hard to please.
She had a hard childhood.
I know, right? Has comedy been therapeutic for you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It has.
What about bombing, though? What does that do? What does that bomb do to you?
Well, I mean, the shattering of the ego is therapeutic in its own way.
It's good, I think.
To an extent.
To an extent, yes.
You need to, like, ration that medicine.
Fair.
You can't have it happen every week.
Yeah, that's true.
But, no, like, I had, like, the one one intense, I had the one really intense bombing, and then the other one's, like, doesn't, because it's not, like, the other times, I don't see it as a full bomb. If, you have some bad sets, I don't consider that like ego shattering.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like I went to New York and I had a couple shows in clubs and
really? Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. There was like one of them, there were like 9 people in the audience.
So like swizzles or whatever. It's like,
yeah, which made it worse.
You go to New York to get swizzles.
There's no way to win when there's 9 people in the audience and like.
I play music. I was in a band and we did a festival in New York and I was like, oh my God, we're playing a festival in New York and there's like big headliners in Times Square and playing the same festival, but we just ended up playing this dive bar in fucking Brooklyn with like 9, 10 people, same thing. So like, yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. But it's like, hey, we're in New York, but nah, are you really though? Or are you just in the market?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
It was also like stuff surrounding, because I feel you can kind of separate the stage from everything else and you can think like, well, that's just the stage, whatever.
Right.
But for me, what was really important at the time was what my friends thought. They were new friends. And there were like some really awkward, embarrassing things where like I forgot to tell them that there was a cover, like that there was a 2-drink minimum.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what if we don't want to get, they're saying this to the waiter, what if we don't want to get 2 drinks? And like, these drinks are expensive. I'm like, shut up. I was like, oh my gosh.
I don't know these people.
And I had to explain to them, and they're so nice about it. But, and then one of the girls got food poisoning because they ordered food, and they're like, we'll get food. And then they got food poisoning. And it just was like one thing after the other. And then, of course, I bombed as well. So everything all together. And plus, there was a show the night before there were some things surrounding it that happened that were really traumatizing. Traumatizing, like, in its own comedian way.
Right.
And yeah, that's when I got home from that, and I was totally shattered, and I was just needed time to recover. And I was like, I guess I'm done doing stand up.
Really? You were like, that was it? You were quitting?
Yeah, I had a show like the next day, that Yuck Yucks.
So you had to do it. You had to get back on the horse.
I got back on the horse,
saddle.
and that was fine.
There's nothing that cures a bad night like a good night. You know, it's like, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what has been the most therapeutic is the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I've been able to explore things more in depth. You know, when you're doing stand-up and you have such a short amount of time, and I'm always trying to really get things down to the bare bones and like, you know.
Yeah, just set up punchline, just a boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. I'm like a joke person, joke.
Yeah.
And so with the podcast, you know, I tell jokes, but I can explore things more and share things that I think are like interesting and like a little funny, but not so punchy, of course.
Yeah.
And I've talked a lot about dating and being single, but that's not what the whole podcast is supposed to be about. It's just like whatever is kind of really on my mind.
What's your mind that week, whatever.
Whatever's on my heart, you know?
On my heart, yeah. Want to get off my chest. But, no, and it's true. And I've heard some people say, that was actually some advice that I got when I first started stand-up is like, well, if you can't be funny, at least be interesting, you know? Mm-hmm. And if you're gonna like go on stage for 6 minutes, maybe you're not gonna go laugh, but at least get people wanting to hear what you have to say. You know, it's
yes.
Yeah, sometimes it's better. I mean, I've definitely went on stage and just bombed, had a whole 6 minute of just complete bomb, and I was trying to be funny, I think.
Well, I hope so.
No, I've had. Did I never tell you about the time I bombed intentionally?
You did.
Yeah, so I bombed on purpose because Julian Dion told me, and Julian Dion, good advice, bomb early and bomb hard.
Bad advice.
Well,
because how long did it take you to get back on stage after that?
Well, it took me longer because nobody would book me because a lot of producers were in the crowd that night.
So yeah, still
so
bad.
it was still pretty terrible advice. Yeah. But it did get me to a point where it was like, now I'm not afraid of bombing at all. It takes me, now I was like, I get off stage, I'm like, ugh, that sucked. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before it could take weeks, you know, I would get weeks of anxiety from like bombing on stage, but it's in a way also I equate it to like a boxer that takes hits in the head, and sure you get used to taking hits in the head, but it doesn't mean it's good for you. You know what I mean? You just get used to taking hits. So now you're just this person that's had this hardened shell.
I tell jokes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get concussions and you're fucking brain damaged, but you can handle a bombing. So is that really good? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either. I think I've also become more like loudmouthed and opinionated and.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I feel that is more me.
I'm like seeing myself getting in trouble at work during meetings because I just don't give a shit anymore. You know, I'll just, before I'd be all like, you know, trying to be nice and all that. And now I'm just like, fuck, what are you talking about? Just heckling people that are talking. Like, what am I doing?
I was going to say that could be a problem, but you work for the government, so they're not getting rid of you.
Hey, it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. God knows they want to, but they can't.
Yeah.
Legally.
I've gotten some attitude. Like last week, during Joke Jam, I was a little sassy with one of our other members, a man, of course, because he started, in my defense, he was mansplaining hard. And I was like, what are you? You think you know everything? You're mansplaining to me? Nobody asked you. And then he like got upset, and I was like, oh, I feel bad. He has feelings too. Men have feelings too.
Yeah, we're not all complete robots. We don't cry, we don't show it, we have feelings, we bottle up, and then we just punch the wall in a rage.
Yeah, because I'm very careful with women. Like, I probably wouldn't have had that attitude with women.
Yeah.
But yeah, when a man starts mansplaining, I'm like, just unleash the fury.
Unleash the Gina.
Yeah, next time I'll just do it as Gina, and it'll be fun.
That should be like always your personal voice. I have seen okay, so actually this is one thing I've found for my comedy, from the difference between my comedic persona on stage and my everyday life is that my comedic persona, I'll tell like fucking I'll swear more, I'll go darker subjects, raunchy, all that stuff, and I'm an asshole on stage. I'm like just trying to offend people, whatever. That was like early on in my career, if you will. But then I thought like, oh, so this is my my comedic persona, and then I realized, oh no, wait a minute. The persona of the nice guy that I'm trying to be off stage, that's the persona, and that's actually my true self. Is
That's
that
deep.
asshole? You know, that's the only time I'm actually myself, and this whole time I'm being a fake. Like I'm trying to conform to societal norms. I don't know to what extent it's true, but I did have that thought came to my mind. Like it did cross my mind that maybe I'm that guy.
You are like a creep.
Yeah. And my whole life, I'm just like, oh, I'm trying to be like, because I'm such a people pleaser. I'm always like trying to be like nice
I
to
can see
people.
that.
I'll be like, oh, okay, you know, fucking Catholic guilt and raised in a, you know, all that, you know.
And so I think the goal is probably to like have the integration. Like,
Yeah.
Where you can have both of those at once.
Or at least if that true person is my true self, at least I can just have it shine on stage, but not, and get it on my system so that my true life I can get back to being sort of like nice, if you will. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe it's healthy. Maybe it's just not. Maybe the whole thing is just not.
I think
Healthy
it
at
is
all.
healthy. Yeah, because they're way worse outlets, right?
Fair. Yeah. Fair. I was listening to, I forget what it was, Patton Oswalt, I think he was saying how people say, fucking Nickelback, or people are complaining how Nickelback is the worst band ever because they only did it for money and pussy and then blah blah. He's saying like, well, other people have done much worse for money and pussy throughout. Like people have gone to wars with countries, like just raped villages completely, and he's saying like Nickelback just went like, rah, rah, rah. Like, are they really that bad? They're not like Pol Pot's or Hitler, like.
Right?
Yeah, so people cut Nickelback some slack. They didn't kill anyone, I think.
I should do more things for money and pussy.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything.
You haven't done anything.
No, money I have.
Yeah.
But to get a dude,
You don't need.
I don't need to be Nickelback.
You don't have to sing all nasally.
No, I guess not. But I used to have like this perfectionist, probably still achievement thing. Like I gotta be impressive.
Really? Have you ever?
Yeah, for
How do
sure.
Because you have to peacock your way around to get men's attention, really?
A lot of women are like this, where you feel like the need to impress, or like because you don't feel like you're enough. So you're like, oh, I got to be extra talented, and I got to be extra special. And with the my dancing and stuff, like I used to be really into salsa dancing. I used to perform and compete, and I think that was a way of peacocking a bit. Like obviously, I enjoyed it, and I was good at it. Not to brag.
No, not the bad. Yeah, it's, competing and like,
But, part of that was like feeling like, oh, I would want to tell that to someone so they would think I was more interesting or like lovable. But now I'm the opposite. Now I feel like when people think, oh, that's interesting that you've traveled or that you used to dance, I'm like, whatever. Like it's not, doesn't indicate my character, or it doesn't.
It's not your identity now.
Yeah, and it doesn't show that I'll be good in a relationship. So I don't even feel the need to like ever bring it up. I'm like, whatever, it's not a big deal.
I feel like when you're in your 20s, like girls especially, you meet some girls and they're like, yeah, so I was just in Laos and whatever.
Ibiza.
Yeah, they just have to bring it up because that's the biggest, most impressive thing they've done in their lives so far. And I was like, yeah, I've been in every continent except Antarctica, whatever. Like, it's not a big deal.
Have you?
Not Australia, not Oceania, I think.
Oh no.
No. But have you? Antarctica?
I lived in Australia. But no, I have lived in Australia, but I haven't been to Antarctica.
No. I don't plan on going, to be honest.
It's expensive. It's a lot just to say you've been there. Like that's what it is, just to say you've been there.
I've been in South Africa at the tip where you can still see some penguins. So I'm like, whatever. I get it.
Yeah,
I get
you
it.
get the
Yeah.
idea. We live in Ottawa.
Yeah,
It's
like
cold,
this,
we get
and then
snow.
winter, whatever. I don't need to go there. Oh God! Actually, I have to show you something.
Oh.
I want to.
When a guy says that, I get worried.
Yeah, well, I have to do it. I wanted to get I probably would have shown you anyways, but I wanted to get your reaction on the podcast because you were telling me about how you peacocking and getting men's attention, all that, and so I get this message last Friday randomly. Guy Luke says, "Dude," I said, "Sup? Who's that Latina comedy chick? Does she have any comedy shows coming up? Huh?" I was like, "Who?" He says, fuck, I forgot to open it. Popped up on my Instagram and suggest she's your friend and following her. Oh, hold on. Chung? Oh, I guess maybe she isn't Latina. I was like, yeah, no, she has to have Chinese, not Latina. But I said, oh, you're very, very funny. She has a podcast and all that. You should check it out.
Who's the Latina chick? I want to go to her show. Perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, right.
I get that so much. People think I'm Latina.
Okay, maybe it's because your profile had something about like half Chinese looks Colombian. People just like, oh, they don't read the whole thing.
No, it's just because of how I look. Like I just look
You think so?
Latina.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But that's funny. Well, what does he look like?
He's a great guy. He's
So he doesn't look good.
no, he looks fine.
What
Yeah,
does he look like?
yeah,
He's a great guy.
He looks fine. He's a great guy. He plays hockey. He's kind of built. He's a year older than me. He's from New Brunswick as well. Good guys in New Brunswick. He has a great job in the government.
Sounds boring.
Nah.
Move along.
Ah.
Just kidding. Kind of.
I'll set you up.
No, you know what? Social media is actually.
Sorry, Luke. I tried, man. Nice.
I have some people sliding into my DMs.
Yeah.
And it's telling because whenever I post a nice picture of myself, and dare I say a little sexy, then the DMs come in.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's nice. But, do I really want that to be the reason? They're like, oh, hot girl. I'll start texting.
What was that character? Is that your
that's
impression of a guy?
A comedian who hasn't seen a real woman in a while.
Yeah. Hey, 4 months. It's been a long time.
Comedian who's into Latinas. Oh, I need some of that Latina pussy. Oh God. I got to work on that character.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, but I get some interesting messages, especially after I did a podcast episode on being single in self-isolation and being really lonely. I just felt like it was the right time to announce to the world that I was lonely and pathetic. But you know what? That's like man bait because I got so many messages.
But is it attracting the type of man that you want?
Probably not. It attracted a lot of lonely people.
Yeah.
Had a
You
lot
go
of
fishing,
messages.
you got to know what bait attracts what kind of
So,
fish.
okay, so what-
Yeah, that's a metaphor for.
Oh, so profound.
I know, right?
What should I talk about then to attract to attract some doctors? What should I talk about?
Probably your yeast infection or.
I
kind
already-
of doctor you want?
I already
Gynecologist?
dated a
Okay.
gynecologist.
Oh yeah, the guy that just fell in your lap. You have that joke that just falls in your lap.
It did. Yeah, I got one of my best jokes out of dating, going on 2 dates with a gynecologist.
Why didn't it work out?
Well,
He comes
honestly,
home from seeing. He's like, oh, I don't want to see another one. So he wasn't.
we didn't get to that point. No, he just didn't have a lot of time. Or he wasn't that into me. But I had a thing for doctors, where I just date a lot of doctors, and it wouldn't just be me. It just would happen that way. It's not like I was only swiping on doctors.
Hey.
I'd meet them in person as well.
All my girlfriends used to be dancers, not erotic, exotic dancers, but just ballet dancers, jazz, hip hop, whatever. And it would just happen that I was just attracted to
Right.
dancers for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah,
all
it just
my life.
happens that way.
Yeah.
And then, but actually, so our friend Alice Anderson, she's a good friend of mine.
Oh, dating a doctor.
I don't want to reveal. We shouldn't
Shit.
reveal her identity.
Oh no, it's not. It's not even a real name. I know.
It's not a real. Anyways, the point. We're so not smooth. Oh my gosh.
We're gonna edit all of this out. This is never gonna air, anyways.
So
Gotta lose the tape, just like that time that Alice did the podcast, and the guy was like, "Oh, he lost the tape."
right. So, well, anyways, so this girlfriend of mine was saying that, well, maybe I should try swiping on the opposite of what I normally swipe on, because she said her friend had tried that, and that's how she met her husband. Because she's like, you know what, I'm gonna do the opposite. But the thing is that her first type was scraggly musician.
Oh.
So that's problematic.
Yeah.
And then this friend, Alice Anderson, she also tried it, but her initial type was dumb jocks. also problematic. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, well, my type is actually like really nice, like compassionate, kind of nerdy guys who are like often in the medical profession, but not exclusively doctors.
Yeah. But now you see a stethoscope and you're like, oh, must fight urge to swipe. Oh.
So hard not to. And but it's just not working for me. So I tried it. I tried the swiping on the opposite this past
On
week.
dumb jocks and struggling musicians.
Past 2 weeks. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, not opposite, but just different.
Just, yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want, the opposite would actually be bros. I can't date a bro. We don't get each other. We don't see eye to eye. I get
No.
the feeling that your friend who's the Latina is a bro, so I don't think it's going to work.
No, he's totally sweet guy. Super nice. He's in New Brunswick right now. He can't come to, well, he could do a Zoom date, but
So if there's anyone out there who's open-hearted, compassionate,
man.
ready for love, a little bit nerdy, but has social skills. You know, like not someone who plays Dungeons and Dragons all the time with their friends. Like, you can play Dungeons and Dragons, but maybe don't get dressed up for it. Don't have a party and get dressed up.
what if you're rich enough that you just have costumes and you have a dedicated house in your mansion for Dungeons and Dragons?
No mansion is
No
worth
man's
that.
worth that.
Because if he does it, I gotta
And he
get
actually
involved.
has a dungeon in his mansion.
Yeah.
And just like,
Well, maybe in that case.
maybe if it's where can we convert it into whatever? Because like we were talking about the sex swing could be like kids swing later, jolly jumper for the kids. Anyways, anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
I went there.
Don't bring the kids into this.
No, that's what I do. Lines there. Just want to
gotta
see what's
make
on
it
the other
weird.
side. Yeah, I know. Oh God. Well, should we end on a bad note, or do we have anything else? Do you have any plugs? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, that was my main plug. I mean, heck, if you're a doctor, it's okay. One last try. The guy. I mean, I liked the gynecologist, so I don't mind. I need some new jokes, so I don't mind if you're kind of creepy.
Anybody that's watching this podcast is definitely not fit for a relationship. That should be the filter. If they even mention that they saw you on this podcast, just be like, nope, delete. That should be the first warning.
You
red
never
flag.
know. You never know.
I know. Nobody's gonna watch this, but
Well, yeah, I'll plug my podcast. It's called Michaela Up Close, and you can find it on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, most places, and on YouTube.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michaela. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's
And,
been great. I had to do it one more time. No, Gina wouldn't,
sarcastic.
Gina wouldn't say that. She'd be like, "Thank God this is over. Oh my God, gotta take a shit."
Washrooms are there. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.